So, hey, how are you doing? It's unusual for me to post or to do a blog at night. As you can see out my window there, it's 8:30 here in California right now. So I just had to report this because it's a little change in my protocol, slight alteration, which I knew this and I should sort of slap myself. I knew better than this. But the Jing Re-Build process is a slow, steady process. And let me just tell you, it's taking in herbs probably to the effect of like trying to get it in a very short amount of time. And so I had the great pleasure of talking to Maya from Dragon Herbs, who I've heard a lot of people talk about. And I don't know if you all know, but a great thing to do to sort of figure out what you want to do is to call up Dragon Herbs. They offer a free 15-minute consultation. It's 88855 tonic. And if you do have a major issue, ask for a senior herbalist. And everybody that works at Dragon Herbs or not everybody that works, but everybody that works at Dragon Herbs Tonic Bar or answers the phone is a acupuncturist and or on their way to becoming that. And so the first person I talk to, I always tell them my condition to like realign, and I mentioned to them that I have HIV and that kind of thing. And so the guy said, "Oh, I can't talk to you. I can't give you advice. I need to pass you on to a senior herbalist." So I was lucky enough to get a hold of Maya, who is not only an acupuncturist but has a background in medical. Not that that's that important to me, but she's been with Dragon Herbs for a long time, and she worked there when Truth worked there back in his beginning days, as well as Romania Dean Thomas. Anyways, and so she just we went through my protocol, and of course, I do have this sort of health junkie attitude. More is better, and in the case of a lot of this stuff, less is better over long term. And I knew this, but I just you just want it kind of thing. So I'm greatly, especially with the deer antler, kind of some expensive therapeutic dosages that I did, but I kind of bounced through a trouble period of doing that. And now I'm going to back off with taking I was taking maybe 8 squirts a day. Now I'm probably going to be down to, I did 2 squirts in the morning and 2 squirts in the afternoon. Then of course I don't do deer antler with my last herbal, a little elixir that I do right before bed, because it can be a little, it's not a stimulant, but it can be stimulating. So I downsized pretty much everything. I basically needed to go back to what I was doing before, which was much more sensible. But in the sense of just, I came up with an analogy. It takes 9 months to make a human being, and it probably ought to take, about the same amount of time to rebuild the Jing to the level that I want, which is back. And again, I'm not suffering badly in any way. I just want that edge. I just don't accept aging. That's all there is. Or I don't accept aging from the point of view that the masses do, of just the sort of I don't have to describe that. I want the upper edge on that. So and that is going to be a slow build. And while I'm talking about change in my protocol, I'm reading the newest edition of the Body Ecology Diet, and I do like the way that Donna Gates writes and the way she teaches as well. I've seen her a couple of times lecture, and so anyways, I'm more on the not eating like practically a few of my meals back in early December were like completely carnivore. I was just sort of in a desperate emergency situation to get hormones built up, and just about everybody's been saying, "Oh wow, you look a lot better than you did 2 or 3 weeks ago." Not that I looked bad, but you look better. So anyway, so what I'm doing, just basically from the point of view, I intend to stay omnivore, and I intend to stay eating animal products at every meal, be that I've kind of centralized it down to two things that I'm eating right now, which are eggs and salmon, wild-caught salmon. And if you are doing that as well, you want to stick with the wild-caught salmon. You don't want to go with the farm-raised stuff because it hasn't got the wide spectrum of nutrients that, as with anything that's wild, and that's the case with everything from herbs to you know, any kind of an animal that we use for meat. And so so I was eating big, like 4 ounce or what was it, kind of 0.4, I guess like 4 ounce sizes of salmon. I'm kind of cutting those down to 2 ounce. The basic body ecology diet is to eat 20% animal flesh and 80% veggie. And then of course you've got to keep in mind the food combining thing, which is basically you know, no starches with protein is an essential one, and you can mix the greens with the protein, and you can mix the greens with the starch, the veggie, like for example, and no types of potatoes, or I'm not eating sweet potatoes anymore. A lot of that was just kind of get it in there, and now I'm kind of, and I have been through the whole body ecology diet protocol, but now I'm going back through the book and starting again, phase 1, following exactly, and this is again, I talk about that I don't follow things exactly. I'm not making too many adjustments. All of this stuff makes perfect sense to me, and it's just sort of realigning with some stuff that I've known before, the Jing thing, proper food combining, and my digestion is, I'm not sure where it's at. I'm taking, one thing that I am taking more of is astragalus, or staying with it, and perhaps doing even a little more, like doing a tablespoon. And again, that's another one that I don't take at nighttime because it can have a slight edge of like sort of stimulating you. But I'm taking astragalus in my elixir in the morning and in the afternoon, and then I sort of take another mouth shot at some point in the day. The stuff tastes really good, so it's no big deal. Yeah, so I'm eating way smaller amounts of meat, lots of working to get my digestion back, lots of veggies, making my sort of classic dressing that you've seen in some of my other recipe videos. And another big thing I'm doing is really focusing on chewing. I've noticed a lot of people don't, just being around them, a lot of people just wolf down food. And I'm always sitting at the table much longer. I eat with my family. I'm sitting there eating 20 minutes after they're like back in the family room, eating or watching the television, which kind of unusual for me to go to my folks because they run television pretty much all waking hours, and it's interesting exposure to that whole world of toxic mind fuck. To be around that when you sort of shed yourself of that. Not that I was ever that much into television, but I still had one around because of my partners, blah, 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 blah. And so anyways, the chewing thing, I was even with my friend Laura, and I might say something to her. She don't think she watches my blogs. She's a very busy person, but when we ate liver, you know, especially something like that, you want to just chew, 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 chew. And then when you eat raw liver, you want to spit out the bits that you can't chew. And I noticed that she just sort of ate that pretty quick. And I sort of picked up the pace a little bit because, I mean, being around my friend who I see, I didn't want to be at my parents' house. I don't care. I'll sit at the table for 25 minutes, half hour, 45 minutes after everyone's gone, taking my time chewing. But I did kind of pick up the pace with it. It wasn't chewing less, it was just chewing faster so that, you know, I wasn't sitting there at her little table like I am usually when I'm around other people. And I actually don't eat with too many people. So anyways, Jing is a slow build process, and I am taking in a lot of fats, I'm taking a fish oil supplement, a really good one. I pointed it out to you. And just start trying to stay in my protocol, down the therapeutic dosages, and realizing that on this true Jing Re-Build process, I did it before. I was much younger. It was 2 years ago, you know, and I have, with each year you grow older, I think when you get past 45, you need to really take care. Rebounding a lot, trying to spend time in nature, trying to get hydrated, you know, and then I do need to make some New Year's resolutions, because my basic New Year's resolution, it's there, it's in me. It's like basically what was going on was I had this great little boat to go out on my journey, and we were having some problems with the motor, so to speak, and that was the coffee, wanting to get the body alkalized, and still having a bit of a tendency every now and then to go off on a pot binge, which I don't care about, but I just, and I do want to explain this. I was at my psychic today, and this is basically my point of view on what I call the hippie drugs, which would be marijuana and psychedelics, essentially. And I've done my fair share of both of those, and I am a big advocate of those to like walk through doors. And she gave me this analogy, which was perfect. It's like, here's your soul essence, and here's this thing that's all around you. And this thing that's all around you is the I can't do it, the fear, the guilt, the, you know, you can do anything you want. But what happens when you smoke marijuana or do psychedelics is you break through that shield. And you can get rid of that shield without psychedelics, but where they're, or marijuana, but where they're beneficial is it gets you through to the other side. And it's like walking through a door. It gives you a view to see what's possible. And for where I'm at right now, I have no intention of of just being completely without. I don't need that stuff right now for where I'm at, and I don't really intend to want it anymore. The coffee withdrawal that I went through was insanely the worst ever, and I've quit drinking coffee. I can't quit drinking coffee because I've quit drinking it 1,000,000 times. So, you know, anyways, that's where I'm at right now. And so now that I've like, I immediately like just sort of got what I wanted at the first of the year. Now I need to make some genuine New Year's resolutions, which are going to mostly have everything to do with music and my music ability. So, God, I wanted this to be another short video and I blew it. So here we are. Musical selection is a French band called Air. And France really does not have a lot of export of music into the British and American world, although the music of France, I've always been into, especially French progressive rock. The band called Lard Free, which doesn't mean animal fat free, it means free art in French. And progressive rock actually never really died in France like the way it did in the rest of the world in the late 70s. It kind of kept powerful in art music in general, and the French definitely have a little different slant on everything than the sort of, not the rest of Europe, but the sort of British control or the British mindset with the American mindset. They've always done their own thing. The French band Air has achieved more success probably than any exports out of France musically. And I love these guys, and I'll tell you one thing right now, I forget how much I love this band, and I've seen them a number of times. So last time I saw them was in 2007, and I've seen them probably about 4 or 5 times previous to that. Great band, and they are very French. The titles of their songs are in French, etc. And so I need to get on with this. The name of the track it's a live track, great. They're performing as a trio. The song is called La Femme d'Argent. I hope I'm saying that right. I always do try to say things the right way. And I love seeing these guys because I love the whole seeing a different kind of people. At the end of the show, it's very interesting to see the keyboard player, and I do love the keyboard player because he's got this old progressive style where he sits there with 2 hands on each keyboard and whatnot. But at the end, he does this bow, and when I saw them, They were just bowing all the time, which is not very American or British anymore these days. So anyways, gotta go, 15 minutes.